we kindly take our seats. And quickly, I want to call on Michael Nietegeka because he's going to take us through the next panel discussion. And he will be looking at the future of business and innovation between the UAE and Uganda. Michael is the executive director at Refactory Limited. Michael, kindly take the stage, and I will let you invite your panelists.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I know we're definitely pressed for time, and I will, without further ado, invite the panel here to come. So Dr. Fred Kitoogo, the Principal Uganda Institute of Communication Technology, UICT, representing the Permanent Secretary, Francis Ntagaza, the Manager East Africa, Shaza Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Francis, if you're here. His Excellency Sultan Jemai Obaid Al-Hidas, the Director General of Fujairah Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Your Excellency, if you're here, please do make your way. He's gone? Okay. Mr. Festo Ivyambi, the founder and team leader of MitroPlus Labs. And then we do have a representative from the Ministry of Trade. If you can make your way here, sir, the representative from Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives. Okay, I can see him right at the back. Okay, thank you. So is Mr. Francis here? Ntangaza? Okay, as they did mention, I lead an organization called Refactory. It's a software academy that primarily focuses on preparing talent for work, both here and out of Uganda. And so my work today is to moderate this conversation on the future of business and innovation between UAE and Uganda. And I know, Festo, you do have presence in UAE, or you've done, so you'll give us a bit of that flavor, given that some of our panelists are not here. And so innovation and business are really cut at the hip, and they drive growth. And for any economy that doesn't pay attention to innovation also means that our ability to thrive and grow is also curtailed. And so to get this conversation running, I would like to hear from each one of you your take on this particular theme, the future of business and innovation, and what can we, Uganda and UAE, do together to spur the two, innovation and business. So I'll start with Dr. Fred. I know this is not part of what I'd prepared for you, but I just like to hear your insights on innovation and business, and what is it that we can work on to make this come to life. Over to you, Dr. Fred Kitoogo.
Thank you very, very much, moderator Michael, and pleased to be here. Our audience, good afternoon. Yeah, in terms of innovation, to be able to focus properly, we need to look at the factors that promote inclusive innovation in Uganda. Number one is infrastructure, especially the digital infrastructure platforms or backbone. We need to have connectivity for different stakeholders to be able to undertake the innovation. One of the areas that we need to look at closely is the national backbone infrastructure and other related connectivity infrastructure, such as the national backbone, but also what the private sector is doing, telcos and other institutions to build that infrastructure. Today we have 60% connectivity exposure, and we have a backbone of 3,150 kilometers spanning 84 districts. We need to take that to go to over 180 districts. So there's an opportunity there, but we also have other partners that, like World Bank, that are supporting us in that area. But we still need to have those areas worked on. Number two is the data centers. Today we are talking about artificial intelligence and natural language processing and other emerging techs. But the data centers that we have in the country don't have enough graphical processor unit resources as well as language processing resources or units. So that's an area that is very, very important, which spurs innovation. If we are to talk about artificial intelligence, then we need those resources to be in place. Currently, you will find that most AI utilizations are in the cloud. That brings in, of course, certain issues like data sovereignty and also the cost of accessing cloud services, but also ensuring that our data is really safe and secure and follows the data protection and privacy regulatory regime. That's another area. Another area is innovation hubs and ICT parks. We are planning to have an ICT park, and we have already gazetted land for it, but the future holds that we need many more of those. Beyond ICT hubs, we also need the parks, but also village innovation hubs in different areas. We have the National ICT Innovation Hub, and we also have other three hubs that have been supported in the country, in Kabale and Gulu and Western Uganda. So we need to take advantage of those, but also we are looking at having 8 across the country. So there's a potential for building that, because those ones are used to support innovations that really solve societal and government problems, as well as for livelihoodness and resource generation, as well as improving services for the public and also government. Those are some of the areas that we think can spur innovation, but another area that we have worked on as government, which needs enhancing, is that government set up an augmented and virtual reality center, which is aimed at using mixed reality to be able to teach STEM subjects: science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and innovation, and also to be able to facilitate innovators to develop knowledge products. Today, we have upcoming TVET, whereby we have people who are working on, those areas of TVET, like, technical engineering, and also, machining, construction, and all that. So the teaching of those subjects and also the practical experiences they get need to be enhanced. We also have the creative industry. XR can help the creative industry to be able to improve and give good experiences before people take out their thoughts to the industry. So those are some areas that I look at as spurring innovation, of course, without underscoring the policy and the regulatory regime.
Yes.
Because we don't want to have restrictive regimes. We need open sandboxes which can allow, innovators test their systems without restrictions, but also to enable them to utilize those innovations in, for instance, government and other areas without being restricted by the big players in the industry. So, okay. Mike, I think I can stop there for now.
Yeah, so I guess in the next round, one of the questions I'll pose to you is the mechanisms, and probably you can reflect on this, that then transitions from just an innovation or having these innovation spaces to where we can then begin, like we have a delegation here from UAE, where we're able to be in a position to present high impact startups or innovations that seek investment both here and out of here. So how do we get to that level, and the incentives that government needs to put in place to ensure that happens? And probably that brings me to my brother from Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives. But purely from a trade perspective, what is your take on this theme of business and innovation? And from your ministry's perspective, what are your reflections?
Thank you very much, and thank everybody that is in attendance here. I must state that trade is dynamic and every time changing, and therefore innovation is one of the aspects that must drive it to achieve its full potential. Doing business across the world, if you're not innovative, the fact is that you stay and lag behind. So as the ministry, upon recognizing and realizing that, we are now in the process of reviewing the national trade policy. If you look at the trade policy that we have, 2013, that expired then, which we had not revised, we have put innovation aspects as core in terms of driving the Ugandan economy to the next tenfold, as you know that this is the current strategy. We have recognized within that policy deliberate actions by government to deal with, first of all, innovators, and through what we call intellectual property, IPRs. Okay. We understand that our current environment in terms of protecting intellectual property and using it as a platform for development and for bringing in FDI hasn't been really that strong, and therefore in the new policy we have deliberately put intellectual property, which will assist both not only Ugandan and UAE investors, but investors across the globe to come and invest in Uganda. All aspects of IPR, including geographical indications that we know that we haven't used as a country, including issues to deal with trade secrets and most of that. We have also looked at the issue of e-commerce. Moderator, you know that the e-commerce environment in the country is still evolving, and therefore we are looking at strengthening this sector through regulations. And I must state that the new policy, which is about to be approved by Cabinet, has strongly reflected on the issue of e-commerce and its regulatory environment to protect and to promote investments within of the innovators and people who are trading online. Of course, that cements activities and of other ministries like ICT, where some of the regulations have been taken care of, but we are looking at basically how we can ensure that we promote the use of e-commerce and have it regulated. We also are looking at innovations that promote traceability, because if we invest between the two countries, we need to promote traceability. We know that of late, as you must know, if I use an example of the EU, we are supposed to take our products there that can be traced back to the farm where the coffee has been produced, for example, if I use that. And the regulation talks of deforestation. So how do you do that without having an innovative mind? So we are encouraging innovators that come into this sector who do traceability systems that can enable us to track all aspects of farm production, agro-processing, up to the level of marketing. We are looking currently, we have looked at the individuals who have come in the space, for example, GS1, which is looking at a global international standards that put in place international harmonized codes, barcodes, that promote our Ugandan exports to make them recognizable in the markets which they go into. If we look at the current situation is that when you go into a market, for example, like UAE, you'll find that when you go look at the barcode of the product, maybe it will state that the product has been sourced from a country like South Africa, from UAE, maybe any other, but not a Ugandan. So we are promoting innovators who can come, work with the international organizations recognized like GS1 to ensure that the barcodes and other codes that we use for our products are recognized in international markets, and that work is ongoing. We note that there are other aspects that deal with now promoting MSMEs and our traders. We have specifically set up a unit, and we are encouraging innovations that will, first of all, put in place a comprehensive regulatory framework of the country into one portal, call it a trade portal, that speaks about what any investor wants to come, who wants to come into Uganda, what legislation is in place, what requirements are in place, what standards are in place that are required for that product to be traded across the country and the global market. So innovations into that sector through systems that speak to international requirements is being done, and the ministry has currently set up a trade portal that is encouraging that framework to be done. Many things are being done for SMEs specifically, and the ministry has an open space, open mind for integrating and for coordinating with all investors to ensure that we promote innovation that enables the government, enables us to achieve the targeted 10 growth forward strategy. For now, I can leave it at that.
This is very, very impressive. And I think one of the things that I want to call it a disservice that government does to itself, that there is a lot that is happening, and sometimes the communication arm is not as effective in educating the citizens or the different actors to get to appreciate all the things that are being talked. I mean, I learn quite a lot every time I am in a government meet where government officials are making presentations. I think for me, the other question that I'll have for you, and a while ago we were just discussing about the fintech space, is it would be good for us to study the impact of regulation and supervision in the innovation ecosystem. And I just want to give an example of the fintech space where we have the national payment system, and all fintech entities are now regulated under Bank of Uganda or by Bank of Uganda. And the conversation we were having was that, has that regulation or supervision in any way made this environment favorable for investors or even for innovation, or it has kind of put brakes on it because of the different requirements that come with regulation? So as we talk through this, it's a reflection that we ought to have the balancing effect of regulation, innovation, and business. Which brings me to you, I think, Festo, you're operating in different markets. And I'd like to hear from you your insights around the impact or the environment as a driver for innovation and business. You understand the Ugandan environment, the UAE environment, and probably the US environment, if I'm not mistaken. What do we need to pick from there in order for us to have meaningful conversations with investors or partners from UAE, for example?
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Ivaibi Festo. I'm the founder of MitroPlus Labs Africa. And MitroPlus Labs is an educational hub for blockchain, artificial intelligence, metaverse, and related technologies all throughout Africa, so that we can be able to harness the broadly beneficial outcomes of these technologies. And being in both countries for today's conference, Uganda and UAE, I have come to learn so many things that operating in a certain environment can be very impactful to what you do. And I know, like me, many people have tended to migrate to countries where policies are friendly and where their businesses can thrive the most. And our counterparts in the UAE have harnessed some kind of character or nature. Whenever they are faced with an innovation, they understand that there is always chaos before order, because every innovation comes with a need. Every innovation comes with a need of policy and regulation, and a policy maker usually has to first learn about these innovations and then know how to regulate this innovation as they also profit from the innovation. And UAE is a country that welcomes innovation, and they will readily register companies that are in new innovations in free trade zones, and also advertise that they are good with these companies. And as time goes on, they push these companies to the mainstream. For those that are dealing in blockchain and artificial intelligence, know that UAE started a very long while ago, especially for those that are dealing in tokenization. And I know that many of us here are aware that the future is highly digital. It is on-chain, and everything is going to be easily transferable. So UAE created an environment where you can register your company that does tokenization, and right now the regulations have already started to
Festo, just pause. We recognize the arrival of the Honorable Minister, General Badi. You are very welcome to this event. So, Honorable Minister, as you walked in, we are having a panel conversation around business and innovation, and how both countries or markets, Uganda and UAE, can leverage on both the innovation and business environment. Festo was sharing his experience, having been, he's a Ugandan, he's operating in both markets as an innovator, and he's just giving a heads up on the technology aspects. Probably, Festo, you can recap and then conclude on your submission as we go to the next year.
Yes, please. Thank you so much, and welcome, Honorable Minister. Yes, I was talking about how UAE has been able to harness innovation even before they have rolled out policy and regulations. UAE has understood their place in the ecosystem of the circulation of money in the world, and they also understand that they are a small population, so they most of their interests is to attract the other population to live inside the UAE so that they can create markets for their region. When you look at countries like our own, you will realize that we have some sort of a disadvantage when it comes to big market players and innovators, and the same disadvantage also goes to the UAE. So usually what they do is that they call these companies first before they get regulated to the preferred markets like the United States and China, where there is a lot bigger market than in the UAE. So the mere fact that they are regulated first in the UAE fast tracks the regulations of new innovation. It brings so many of us innovators, takes so many of us innovators from our countries to a policy-friendly country, which is the UAE. And as I have mentioned, the future is highly on-chain. It's highly digital and on-chain and easily transferable. It is, we are faced with a world where everything we know it is going to move on-chain. Currencies, your identity.
So when you mean chain, you mean blockchain?
Yes, I mean...
just to make sure everybody's on the same page, otherwise...
Yes.
I may think about it from a prison.
Yeah, currencies, your identity, your investments, your social security. I was inspired so much to know that the biggest social security asset management company in Abu Dhabi, Mubadala, is so much invested in new technologies like cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in particular. And these are things that are shied away in our domain, in our countries. Yet, if we can close the knowledge gap and the policy gap between the new innovations to the mainstream, we can be able to profit so much from this. I remember when mobile money came, Uganda is one of the biggest countries in using mobile money, I think, following Kenya in the entire world. So I would say we are somewhere, when it comes to digital payments, we are by far bigger than many countries. And that is because when mobile money came, it took some years in operation before re-regulations and taxations and everything. So I believe we need to also have both countries as trade partners encourage themselves towards building infrastructure for blockchain, artificial intelligence, so that we can be able to have efficiency, we can be able to have automation, and we can be able to trade many instruments at the comfort at our own locations. Earlier on, I was speaking about having an exchange, a digital exchange for coffee markets here in Uganda, because we have it in Dubai, and we trade it in Dubai. We also trade the London coffee. Yet Uganda, one of the drivers, the biggest drivers of the prices in coffee, does not have a local digital exchanges for coffee for people like me that do not want to own the physical assets. Yet we are in better position to buy futures of coffee because we have access to those coffee farmers and we can drive there, yet other people will not even. It will take people so much to decide to come to Africa.
Okay. I don't know if, because I need to, if we can probably
wrap
bring
up,
it to a close and then we go to the next phase.
Bringing this policy and knowledge gap is something that we have done as MitroPlus Labs through educating people on blockchain, metaverse, artificial intelligence, and building products, blockchain products, to bridge the gap between the mainstream financial infrastructure and the mainstream legislature to what is incoming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I could have given you an hour just to talk about the things that you're doing and the need, but I think the key takeaway from the presentations or the panelists so far is the realization that for innovation to drive business, there must be an environment that quickly enables, and one of the things we must commend the government is the new income tax law that allows startups that have been set up under a threshold of 500 million to be income tax exempt for 5 years. That is a huge, huge milestone. I work with startups, I've been in the space for quite some time, that they can now use this money to go back and invest in their businesses without really thinking about how do we navigate or circumvent so that the taxman doesn't come to me as quickly as possible. But that we need more of that. So as I bring this panel to a close, trying to be innovative with time, I have a question for all of you, and I'll take 2 questions from the audience. Talent. What drives innovation is not policy, is not regulation, is talent. How do we get our talent to be at the forefront of driving innovation that translates into business? And I'll start with Dr. Fred Kitoogo. I know you're in the training space, you're human capital development space, and then also from the trade ministry, as well as Festo, talent. Quick take, 1-2 minutes on what do we need to do to make our talent run at the speed that is ready for UAE, or even the other way around.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator. And you're very welcome, Honorable Minister. On my side, I'm looking at 3 things.
Okay.
Number 1 is beyond the tech training, we need to focus so much on innovation, entrepreneurship, and business training, and the other soft skills. So that you find that most of the innovators that we incubate and try to help, they are very good at the tech side, but this other side is a little bit of a problem. Number 2, I think we need to begin conducting joint applied research between Uganda and UAE and even other stakeholders, so that we understand the needs of both sides and are able to harmonize and know where to go and what to focus on. And then also joint skilling in terms of not only the tech side of it and emerging technologies, but also the business side and the innovation side. And we get to know what pain points are there on the different sides and focus on those, so that we don't do research and training and skilling for the sake of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I like the way you're talking about the joint skilling. So like I had mentioned earlier, I run a software academy. And it's virtual, so people take classes from anywhere. And 2 of the students we had, I think, in the cohort last year doing the certificate in software engineering, were actually working in Dubai, but in a warehouse. And so they were taking our evening classes from the warehouse. I think one time we asked them to turn on the videos, and the background was very interesting. But guess what? Right after the 3 months, they moved out of the warehouses. They are now hired and working as software developers within the ecosystem. Why? Because they now have the skills of trade that are in demand in the industry. So I like what you're saying, because if we understand what competences are required in that market, we can then very intentionally deliver that talent. And probably Festo, you'll speak to the talent demand within the UAE in the tech space. But yeah, from the Ministry of Trade.
Thank you so much. From the Ministry's perspective, we take talent as key in driving the economy.
So probably
like
pause a bit. Allow me to recognize the presence of the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, Honorable Matia Kasaija. Now that he has arrived, we can also, money has come. Yes, money has come. And so the investors can be rest assured that money is here. Okay. I'm told even the attendees want to be assured. Yeah, Money is around. You just need to look in the right place. But over to you. Honorable Minister, you're very welcome, and thank you for gracing us with your presence. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you. I also recognize the presence of the ministers. And like I said, the Ministry of Trade indeed takes talent as key in driving economic growth of any economy, and many countries have really benefited from talent. We cannot understate that fact. And as the Ministry of Trade, like I said earlier, talent must be appreciated, talent must be rewarded. If it is not, then the owners of talent will not be innovative in delivering that contribution to the economy. As the ministry, first of all, we came up with a policy which we call Buy Uganda, Build Uganda. That policy is aimed at, among other things, recognizing talent, rewarding it, and ensuring that it contributes to the economic development of the country. Secondly, I talked about the issue of IPR. If there cannot be legislation that protects innovators, that makes them innovate even further, then we cannot achieve from it. And therefore, like I said, talent is being recognized in the new policy that is going to be coming up in the next few months through strong regulation that supports intellectual property rights for innovators and for those talented people. We hope that it will then contribute to the tenfold growth strategy that we are looking at. Lastly, there's something that you talked about in terms of the balance between how you can supervise but also regulate.
Yes.
We understand that for innovation, in the initial stages, when there is innovation with strict, very, very strict regulation, it can be an anti-tariff barrier to more innovation. It can.
It can.
And therefore, what we'll recognize as the ministry is that there has to be a balance in terms of flexibility, in terms of looking at the international standards benchmarks. And therefore, there we can be able to ensure that we have a balance between innovation, between supervision, and between regulation for purpose of promoting more innovators within the economy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I like what you end with. And again, I will share my own experience. When we set up the Software Academy, let's say 7 years ago, when I went to register it within the ministry structures, because I don't give academic qualifications. Mine is skill, then go and work. I was told, you have to fit within this domain. I said, but I don't fit. He said, but, so I said, let me start. And I will align as we go along. Thank you, government, for the new TVET Act that allows and recognizes institutions like ours that are not mainstream academic because we focus on skills of trade. And so I hear you in terms of flexibility, but I was also a bit stubborn. Now I can say I was stubborn. Those days I couldn't say anything, they would come and close me. But Festo, I'd like to hear from you. Talent, and what do you see as an opportunity for us as a country in positioning ourselves for these markets?
Yeah, I really think one of the number one things the country can do is improve on their support on our support on research and development.
Okay.
When you look at countries that have funded, that have a well-funded research and development, there are many people that stay in university labs and innovation centers, and their lifetime thing is just to innovate something the world needs and has ever done. When you look at countries like South Korea and how they funded Samsung, and right now Samsung is balance sheet per year is really so big. They should be proud of what they have done, and we can do the same here through research, funding research and development. And secondly, we were still talking about the clarity in policy. So when you look at the big companies, big innovators here, once we scale up, we tend to go away and to business-friendly environments. When you look at companies like Flutterwave, companies like Jumia, they are African startups, but most of these companies are registered and regulated in Germany because the regulations and policies are already clear, and they do not expect that there are going to be changes within the next 1 year or 2 years. So they can be able to work with that for at least until they can be able to break even and do that and do something else. And my last point is on infrastructure. We can improve on infrastructure that aids innovation, like internet penetration and data centers, and also the receptiveness to the creation of these infrastructures. A lot of innovations, like I said, chaos usually comes before order. For those that trade cryptocurrencies, you know that there is a very good sector in mining, Bitcoin, for example, and it uses a lot of power. And many times we have been exploring ways of how we can be able to buy electricity from the government at a fraction of $1, so that we can be able to break even when we mine. And we were able to have the government at one point to also join into this business, but the investors ran off to Ethiopia because of the Grand Unions Dam. They got a bigger deal there. So I think if there is that receptiveness to technology, because they cannot be amidst this chaos, there should be something good. I am happy to say it when the Honorable Minister of Finance is here, because one time he commented about money moving in the air. But when you look at the different fields we can be in as innovators and as the government, as we study the entire field, it would be nice for us to have those policies that are going to bring innovators and retain innovators within the country, the flexibility actually he talked about.
Thank you very much. And I think one of the things I would add, the honorable ministers are here, is whereas government has done an amazing job in laying the core infrastructure, the fiber, the telecoms being in place, one of the things that are a major hindrance or barrier is access to devices like laptops. For young people, ability to have a laptop and work remotely is now a game changer because they can work from home. But if accessing a laptop requires you to mortgage part of your mother's or family's inheritance in order to access it, then it becomes a little bit of a challenge for the young people. And I think the second one is access to affordable internet. The price of internet has significantly gone down, significantly. But it is still, especially if 90% of us accessing internet on the mobile, it's a hindrance. Like Festo has mentioned, if I'm going to work overnight, mobile data cannot work. We need to think through high-speed internet locations like these hubs that are being set up by Ministry of ICT, where communities can congregate and leverage on that high-speed capability. Otherwise, the ability to innovate is also curtailed. But I'd like to open 2 questions from the audience, if there are any. Going once, going twice. I see one question at the back. Okay, we'll have that and we'll close this panel. There's a gentleman at the back who, yeah, they're bringing the microphone to you. Yeah, there's a gentleman over there in the brown jacket, right there. So, to your question, sir.
Thank you, Michael. My name is Tisa. We are very happy with the panel, especially Mr. Kitoogo, who has been in the ICT industry for a long time. One of the questions to government and the panel when will government start believing, we're talking about innovation and business. A lot of Ugandans have invented solutions or applications or softwares. When it comes to government procuring softwares, the government takes long to believe or certify into those same applications developed by the young generations. And yet, here we are talking about innovation. When we look at systems, let's say election management, bigger system government procures, it has not taken an indication whether to the university itself. We had Makerere University with the first innovation hub long time ago and funded, where we saw Dr. Variamreva beginning that department before so many other hubs came in. Either give a target to the universities such that a country, the youth, or the students can develop an app that the government can believe and then run on it. In most cases, we've seen government spends our own taxpayers' money, a lot of it, buying a system from the US, buying from Germany.
Okay.
So when will government begin believing in its own talent and assuring the young innovators that they can develop a system? Some they've done already,
Sure.
but that large-scale affirmation to the young innovators. Thank you.
Okay. Finally, the hands are up. This is what tends to happen. I don't know why it happens that when you go round one, nobody wants to ask. It's like a bug stings you and you now have something to say. Please stick to the question and no preamble to the question. Otherwise, I'll interrupt you.
Thank you, Michael. My name is Prosper Ibisibwe, medical doctor, and I run a startup called MScan, Uganda. And at MScan, we are deploying low-cost portable ultrasound machines to help pregnant mothers in underserved settings. My conversation is around artificial intelligence, which is the new...
That technology is not compliant with where we are.
Oh, yeah, we are back on. There's a policy by Saudi Arabia to have every child have a ChatGPT subscription. So what are we doing for our young to make sure that they are competing with the very best? My question goes back to talent, the question of talent, and how do we develop it from the youngest, from the root? Thank you.
Good question. I'm sure you have the answer. I could have asked you, can you please answer the question? But I will allow the panel to respond to it as I bring this to a close. Can I have that and then that, and we will wind up. And the panel, feel free, you don't have to answer all the questions.
Thank you so much. I'm called William from Kano Africa Services. My question goes to exactly almost like what he asked, but on AI. How can we use AI as businesses? Is there a way like centers where we can come as business people, not only youth, but also other business people to learn more about AI and how we can use it in our businesses? Thank you.
Interesting question. How do we demystify AI as a tool of trade, not a scare? Keep away from AI. Quick question.
So much. My name is Nakainga Judith, and I work with Mwanyi Terimba Limited, coffee exporting company, Buganda Kingdom. So I am very, very thankful for this forum, because now it is very clear that the world has started to appreciate how young people are actually smarter than the old generation, and we have the potential to enhance economic growth and development of Uganda's economy.
Yeah.
I'm very, 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 now I'm happy that we are recognizing young people.
Yes.
But now my question goes to the Ministry of Trade. I'm so thankful that you have actually thought of young people. But then, as the government of Uganda or Ministry of Trades put in some initiatives to sensitize us young people, because I'm one of them, and I believe in your policies, you believe that we are talented and we can accelerate economic growth. But in my mind, I am thinking, are these policies or knowledge, is it only stopping in offices and on papers? Because down there are so many young people like me. Uganda is very much blessed that more than half of this population is endowed by young people. But there are so many down there who doesn't even know that they can bring a significant impact to Uganda's economy. So have you put in some initiatives to sensitize young people that, hey, you people, we need you. We believe that you can drive economic growth, or you're still, these ideas are still in papers and in offices and not being implemented where they are supposed to be.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Nakaenga Judith, Mwanyi Telimba Limited.
Thank you. I was about to say awotokubyenyo, but we shall pick it up from there. But I think you raised pertinent questions, and I think the question is, now that you know, what are you going to do to become the champion? Bakweyo facilitation and so can I ask the panel in 1 minute each, as we bring this to a close, just your quick takeaway and any question you can respond to. I know I have really pushed you, but we are pressed for time, and I thank you. So,
Yeah.
Dr. Fred, quickly.
Yeah, thank you very much, moderator, and for all the members who have asked questions. I'll start with maybe I'll take one and then the rest.
Sure.
The one from my friend Tasha, who talked about when will government start trusting
Yes.
the utilization and believing in the locally produced solutions. Yeah, that's a very pertinent question. Number one, government has started. I would tell you that to date, about 27 MDAs, I'm very sure about, are using locally developed solutions. The e-procurement solution is a locally developed solution. Parish development model, locally developed solution. The electronic document management, also locally developed, and several others. There are also those solutions that are not being used by government, but also some of our innovators are here. We have like the Ride Link, which is logistics and transportation. We have health, we have education, and other several innovations that are.
Yes.
Yeah. That said, trust should be built by maintaining consistent performance. So local innovators need to be delivering reliable, secure, and trustable solutions, such that government begins trusting. And what's the take away from here is when you're an innovator, you innovate and you have a solution, and next time you get a job and maybe go somewhere and begin working and you leave that solution. There's no maintenance and no other things. So that's what brings government, because government wants its business to what? To keep
continue.
On, yes, but we are proposing that you keep on working with the innovation hubs, such that we build capacity and even work as teams to be able to maintain those systems and also enhance them.
Okay.
They will be trustable. Another thing is, of course, the leadership mindset, which is one of the major roles that we need as government to partake. It's good that we have our Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, who and other minister who at that level can advocate for these things. But as part of that, we are coming up with policies for partnerships and progressive leadership, working together with the innovation ecosystem to be able to ensure that the partaking of those solutions is enhanced. I think I'll leave the rest for
Emmanuel. Quick take.
Government, I appreciate the question, of course, on government not taking But like my colleague has said, government is indeed doing that. And but it also starts with me as a person, as an individual, not as a government officer right now, but as an individual. How do I appreciate what you have done? How do I appreciate your talent? So it starts with me. And that is why we, as government, we have the local content. The law is there. There is the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda, talked about it, is there. All is meant towards making us, even at the individual level, appreciate our own and buy our own and push it as Uganda. So it is an agenda which targets everybody, not only me as a government. But also I must state that, again, we were asked on the issue of sensitization. Like I said, the policy has an implementation plan, and the implementation plan has looked at the youth, has looked at the women and other vulnerable groups. Targeted action plans for ensuring that you not only sensitize them, but also train them, equip them in terms of business development, to participate in both domestic and regional and multilateral trade. So we are looking at that holistic approach through the implementation plan of that policy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Festo?
Yeah, I think I'm not in position to speak for the government, but what I can appreciate is that government has made it has made these platforms largely visible to the young people, to the young population, and they have made the means of accessing them quite affordable and probably getting cheaper. Phones in Uganda are getting cheaper, and almost everyone can afford a smartphone. And by the day, I think if with this visibility, people are going to learn more how to use AI to solve their day-to-day problems. And for the big challenges, I think we are still to do better as government to make sure we can harness the technology of AI.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So one of the things I will end with is that in markets where I've seen innovations that are dealing with some of what I would call not as attractive business areas, is government takes a stake or has an interest in ensuring, because some of the requirements that you have for these innovators to provide are stringent, and I'll quickly walk away. What I've seen is government becomes an interested party and co-invests in that idea up to a point where you're able now to export that service or that technology, and in doing that, then government can pull out. But it has enabled you. But it's very difficult for me as an innovator to qualify with all the certificates that are required, all the certification requirements from a software perspective, all the backups, all the infrastructure. It becomes quite an inhibitor, and yet it is a must-have. Emmanuel, quickly, as
on that, government has an investment arm called UDC.
Okay.
If you come up with a very good investment plan, innovative plan, and you approach UDC, you can work together and they can see the possibility of co-investing with you. So like maybe it has been said, maybe it's information which is not out there in the public.
Yes.
But UDC as the body under the Ministry of Trade has that investment arm that help innovators who come with very good ideas that are feasible could potentially work with that institution to bring reality, to realize their innovations. Thank you.
So, Emmanuel, again, it goes back to how do we enable? Because every time I see at UDC, I see companies that were there when my father was starting to work. And I'm not sure whether if I went with a tech idea, anybody would be listening to me. So how do we make it attractive to people who are building things that are non-traditional? I'll end this here. Come again?
That will be over to the ministers. Thank you.
It has been an exciting panel, and I want you to give the panel a round of applause. And apologies if we have overstayed our invitation, but we have also, we're trying to innovate with time. So thank you very much, and over to you, MC.
Thank you, Michael. I'll request our host, Your Excellency, a photo with the panelists. As that happens, we now proceed. I would like to invite the photo here. Yeah. I'd like to invite Engineer Kenneth Kaijuka from National Housing Council, National Housing Construction Company.